think the 2020 general election could well be a very big replay of this referendum, because I think the one thing I do know, and yes, of course, there were all sorts of things said on both sides of the argument. The temperature got raised to a level we've never seen in this country. What I do know is the 17.5 million people that voted for it, despite being told we'd fall off a cliff and terrible things would happen to us, they voted for it because they meant it. And I think they are not going to change their mind on this. So I hope that the local MP here gives us some real leadership, because frankly, in the first few months, we've had precious little. And if she tells us clearly that we're not just leaving the European Union, we're leaving the single market, because that's what people voted for, I would then be very reassured, and the next general election would be more or less business as usual. Right. But that's not where I think it's going.
All right. I said we were in Maidenhead, which is, of course, Theresa May's constituency. Will Self.
Yeah, I think Nigel's analysis is probably right, actually. The Cabinet's clearly divided.
Yeah.
There isn't an agreement on whether to go for a hard or a soft Brexit. I think what people voted for was a variety of things who voted for Brexit, and they voted because they felt their livelihoods under threat, they felt in some sense that they were losing a kind of control in their communities. If they were feeling very, very immiserated, they perhaps were being thrust into bigotry and looking around at the society and reacting against our immigrant communities, and all of that was pretty unsavoury. But I don't think what they actually voted for was to suffer the kind of catastrophic, not recession, but I would wager depression that will occur if we go straight to WTO rules. Why on earth wouldn't the Europeans, for example, Nigel, bring back the denomination of Eurobonds from the city to Frankfurt or wherever they choose to do it? I have to say, I think a lot of the Brexiteers are still living in a bit of a weird kind of, keep saying bring back this, bring back that, bring back the birch, bring back bicycles, bring back spinsters, bring back two-way family forces favourites. So what else are you going to bring back?
Bring back democracy. Bring back democracy. Bring back self-government. Right, that's what we voted for, and that's what we want.
That's what you say people voted for.
Nigel, I think a rerun of the issues within the context of the political system we're used to is far more democratic than a winner-takes-all referendum. And all of this kind of talk that the politicians are doing now, because they're desperately worried about their vote, is to say, oh, no, we all respect the will of the people. The will of those incredibly politically committed people, Nigel, you now have summoned into a great civil society. We're all going to be working away.
Well, he says we're going to end up with a solution like Norway, and that isn't what people want.
Well, I like Norway.
All right, OK. Right, let's just silence, if we can, our panel just for a moment. I'll come to Elise and hear what you think here in Maidenhead. The woman there, how you voted, I don't know, but what do you want to see happen?
I voted to remain.
Yes.
But I feel that people were misled by politicians, saying 350 million we're paying to Europe will go to NHS. The same politicians changed their mind next day, saying that, oh no, we haven't got any money now.
What do you want to see happen now?
Sorry?
What do you want to see happen now?
Well, we have to trade with Europe. We'll still be paying money to Europe to trade with them.
Why?
If we want to do business with them.
All right, let's go to some other people. The woman there in blue, purple, is it there?
I think the Westminster cartel are a bit slow to realise that politics are being done differently now. And I think the basic problem that we've got at the moment is that we've got a parliament that doesn't really represent the people.
And what do you mean by done differently?
I think it's the grassroots that put Trump where he is, the grassroots that put Jeremy Corbyn where he is, the grassroots that caused Brexit to happen. And I think they're still living in a world where they haven't realised that with the advent of the internet and the ability of people to be able to communicate with each other a lot more, that politics is being done differently.
Louise Mensch, I'll come to you, Ruth. Louise Mensch.
I think there's a lot to what that lady just said, actually. And one of the things that annoys me watching from afar is the sort of mystic meg that goes on, well, we voted for this and we voted for that, and people really think this and they really think that. I think the only thing you can take from it is the question that was on the ballot paper. And what won on the ballot paper was, should we leave the European Union? And the answer was yes. Beyond that, there was no detail. It wasn't on the ballot paper. If people had required all the detail in advance, presumably, they would have voted no. So somebody has to do those negotiations, and I don't agree with Nigel. I think that here in Maidenhead, Theresa will go into Europe and she will swing her handbag pretty hard. There was a study out recently that said optimistic women live longer. So that's good for me because I'm very optimistic. And I actually believe that we hold all the cards. And I'm sick and tired of Britain being pushed around when there is no need. There is a deficit, a trade deficit from the EU to us. Germany, the breadbasket of the EU, sells most of its cars in Britain. They desperately need to trade with us. So all I think we need is a bit of firmness, a bit of friendliness, a bit of politeness. We're leaving the EU, we're not leaving Europe, and we should be able to get a good deal and get a good deal quickly. And as for Theresa delaying and wasting time, I don't think that's what's happening at all. What she's doing is she's stacking her hand like a good negotiator. She went to India and she did some trade deals in advance. It's true that we can't sign them till we leave the EU, but we can line them up, and that is what she's doing. I think she's playing it very well, very cleverly.
You're laughing at this.
She went to India and did a trade deal, but she had to agree for the free movement of workforce around the world. Exactly. That is a lot of Mickey Mouse crap. Sorry. But it really is, because nobody is going to give you something totally come in like that. They're going to want to trade, and they want to trade with their people, and they want to trade with the technology. It's not as straightforward as anyone makes out. If you go with the referendum in the north, I can take you to towns where the real reason was immigration. I will take you without a shadow of a doubt. And everybody believed that we were going to not have the free movement of people. We weren't going to have immigration. But if we don't have immigration in the south, who's going to wipe my backside when I go into a nursing home? Because I can tell you categorically, there is not one, if you like, English national working in most of our nursing homes. They're Filipinos, they're from Asia.
I very much doubt that.
So you're Theresa May. What would you do?
If I was Theresa May, I'd go back to the country, because I tell you,
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, isn't it? You don't accept the result. You do not accept the result of the referendum. And if I may say so, there is a complete difference between open, free movement and having a fair, free immigration policy. Brexit, I was for Brexit. It's not anti-immigration. It's saying that somebody from Belgium shouldn't have special privileges over somebody from Bangladesh.
All right, well, let's pick up...
Hold
on, let's pick up the point you made.
Free trade is a good thing.
Richard Bergen, do you think she should have an election to clear the air? You do. What do you think?
Explain all the facts to the world, to the country, and actually explain, because we don't know. I could have changed my mind. I could have really changed my mind if I thought it was right. But I voted Remain because I didn't really know what I was going into.
OK. Richard Bergen?
All this talk of will Theresa May hold an election...
He wants one.
Yeah, all this talk of whether Theresa May will not hold an election before 2020. If she can't govern, if she's that weak, then she'll have to hold an election. So we'll see what happens. But I do want to pick up the point that the lady over there made about politics being done differently in grassroots politics. You made a really important point when you talked about the surprising to many election of Trump, when you talked about the surprising to the Conservative government Brexit vote, and the surprising to many political figures from the past and present election of Jeremy Corbyn twice as Labour Party leader. What we've got now is a questioning of the old way of doing things. That's what happened in the United States. In essence, that's what happened with the Brexit vote. People don't want the status quo to continue, but the dangerous thing at this point is the fake anti-establishment politics. I don't believe that billionaire Donald Trump is anti-establishment. I don't believe he will deliver for the Rust Belt communities that voted for him in the United States. And I don't believe that UKIP, now with a lesser leader, will deliver on an anti-establishment basis either. The NHS, by the way, is Britain's proudest peacetime achievement. The new leader of UKIP, Paul Nuttall, wants to privatise it. There's nothing anti-establishment about that.
Is Jeremy Corbyn anti-establishment,
he
as you
is.
say?
Labour is the anti-establishment party.
Fine.
That's why the media don't like Jeremy Corbyn, because he's anti-establishment.
All right.
That's why the Westminster bubble doesn't like him, because he's anti-establishment.
OK, we've got a lot we want to talk about. Does anybody else want to make any points about the way that Brexit post the vote is being handled from the audience? Yes, you, and then we'll go on, because we've got a lot of other things that people want to talk about, and we've covered it regularly and at some length. Yes, madam.
I voted leave. OK, it doesn't matter what politician there was out there. I did not want to be part of the EU any longer. I don't like dictatorship. I think we should make our own decisions, and we should trade with whoever we like and allow them to trade with us if we accept them.
OK. Yes, thank you. Right. Roy Horne, let's have your question. Roy Horne.
Is it time to raise basic rate income tax to improve the NHS and our public services?
Sarah Wallace.
Well, I certainly think we need to raise more money for our NHS and social care, particularly for social care, and I very much hope that next week, when we have the local government settlement, that we do see a fair settlement for social care, because the gentleman in the front row here is going to need some care, hopefully, at some point in the...
Hopefully.
I said that.
He'll see you at the end.
No, but if the gentleman in the front row does need care, I hope it'll be available to him, and unfortunately, in many parts of the country now, we're seeing that social care is in a state of collapse.
How do you do it without increasing taxation?
Well, I think that there have been a number of
Everything's been
commissions
cut back,
that have been looked at this, and I think there are some very interesting proposals in something called the Barker Commission, and she looked, for example, at whether or not we could put an extra penny on national insurance, and I think as well
that
that maybe
tax,
the time, but the time has come.
Hang on, that's being very political.
It's actually can I explain in one way
well,
that I think it isn't, and that is that I think we also need to bring in some intergenerational fairness here, and I think one of